Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the I Know a Guy podcast. I'm super excited about today's guest, Daniel Rochelle. Did I say that right, Daniel?
Daniel Rochelle, that's it.
See, that's first time, right?
Yeah.
Daniel, Mr. Gray
That's
is also in the
right.
house. Check out this T-shirt.
Yes,
So
sir.
today's message, I think, is going to be very, very powerful. Daniel's married. He's got 5 kids, and he is I've known him for a few years just by being Daniel, the UPS delivery driver. You've been there for like 25 years?
25 years, man.
That's a long time.
It is.
Throwing packages around, kicking boxes?
You know, I won't say kicking them, but...
Not you, but Ace Ventura did.
Ace Ventura, man, he was dancing on it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Got a few Nike prints in that box.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah.
So Daniel, we talked a little bit, and you've got an interesting story, and probably one that a lot of people can maybe relate to, and we'll sort of dive deep into it.
Sure.
You know, you wrote this song called "Mr. Gray,"
Mm-hmm.
and the lyrics are deep.
Mm-hmm.
The lyrics are deep. What we're going to talk more about the song, but what's behind that?
What's behind the song? What's behind the song is a lot of trauma, man. A lot of man in the mirror type situations. Basically, a lifetime of situations that led me to depend on substances to basically get me to medicate myself out of some crazy thoughts, crazy mindsets, a lot of different people just kind of hanging out in my mind that developed from the trauma, you know. I guess you could say like multiple personality type things, you know. So we have Danny, the little boy.
Mm-hmm.
You got Daniel, the peace-loving Christian young man who everyone is, you know, pats on the head. And then you have the character like D. Rochelle, you know what I mean? And he is the one who is just like, you know, all right, you guys are weak. I'm going to take over here because, you know, y'all aren't handling things right, you know. So he was more the outgoing party animal type dude, you know, alpha male, take no mess type thing. All of them were likable or lovable characters. I guess the D. Rochelle character just kind of felt like they weren't assertive enough, and they were letting things happen to them instead of being the one to actually go out and, you know, go out and be assertive, I guess. So either way, that's basically where that comes from. The experiences of Danny, the trauma with. Should I be specific here, or should I?
You go where you need to go.
Okay, great. There were some early sexual things that happened. You know, basically, I grew up in a home to where my mother had 3 children before, you know, all this was before I was born, 3 children. And then she divorced and married my father. He came into the home, and my mother had 2 girls, and the youngest closest to me was a boy. And so they were all, I think the youngest was separated by about 11 years. And so we're separated by 11 years, and then, you know, enter Daniel Rochelle, 1980. So we'll just say that there was a history of trauma between my family, my father, maybe even my mother's family. Definitely that. And I guess, people act out based off of what they've experienced in their lives. So let's just say around 2 or 3 years old, when I started to come to a little bit of understanding, is kind of when I saw some of these things, happening. Once again, they were not my they were not my father's daughters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so there were some experiences with that. See, later on, one of my sisters, she would have been about 20 years old. I would have been about 8 at the time. Let me back up. So all 3 of them moved out when they were probably about 15, 15, 16, 17, or 14, 15, 16. The living conditions at my home had become to a point to where it was just like, all right, we got to go. You know what I mean? So they all stayed with my grandmother on my mom's side. And, that was that. The next time I can specifically hearing about my sister, who would have been 20 at the time, she was giving birth to my nephew, and she had died on the table. Yeah. And so when I say the next time I heard from her, that is what I heard in the form of screaming in the bedroom of a 2-bedroom house right here in Gainesville. My mother and my father were in there. I hear that. I'm 8 years old. I'm just kind of stuck in a, fetal position on the couch in the living room, which would probably be 20, 30 feet from the bedroom.
By yourself?
I was by myself. Yeah. They're just kind of sitting there hearing the news after the phone call, and, just kind of went within, probably had my thumb in my mouth or something like that, and just, shut down. You know what I mean? So, there was another kind of traumatic moment. Fast forward to, just seeing, alcohol abuse within the home. But then not only in the home, we'd see it with the uncles, you know what I mean?
When you say alcohol abuse, we're just saying they're drinking a lot, or is there actions that are taking place because of the drinking?
Drinking a lot. Drinking a lot, definitely. Mostly on the weekends.
Were there physical altercations or arguing? Or
there was definitely some arguing.
Okay.
But it would usually happen after my father went off on, went out that Friday night or whatever, and would come back, as the sun's coming up, you know what I'm saying, the next day, or, just all-nighters, you know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question about that? How old were you when this is happening? You're saying your uncles and...
Oh, yeah. So this was, I don't remember when it wasn't happening.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you feel it growing up that it was wrong? Did you know that it was wrong, or feel like it was not good?
Yeah, well, I think my mother's response to it, reaction, I would say, to it, kind of, put me in the mode of, okay, something is definitely wrong, because when your fight or flight modes kick on at that age, you know what I mean? Like, you feel like, all right, man, do I run? Do I, what's going on here? So, yeah, I would definitely say it was something that felt like, it wasn't right. But what confuses everything for me, or I think anyone who's ever gone through a situation similar to mine, is that we had a loving family. You know what I mean? My father introduced me to my faith, at 5, 6 years old. We were going to church. Dad didn't Dad didn't make his family sit on the back pews. You know what I'm saying? He took us to the very front. Like if the parishioners and the church clergy was the only people who were allowed to sit up front, just as a representation of the church, then we sit on the second row. But he was a man who was plagued by by his addiction and his mental struggles. He didn't know how to deal with them. He didn't have anyone to show him the way, but he heard about Jesus, he heard about church, and he heard about whatever. And, he decided to at least try, So I saw this dichotomy, you know what I mean, of life choices. Of course, I would learn this later, you know what I mean?
Sure.
At 8, 9, 10, you don't really know what's going on. But I saw a man trying. And so he also, taught me music and, the ways that he would cope with his own demons. But yeah, man, it was quite the in and out of the ups and downs of living at home with a parent who struggled with substances. Yeah.
So what help do you have outside of you to deal with the trauma that took place, whether it was sexually and or watching or hearing the news that your sister had passed away? What help did you have? Who was there that you could talk to, or is this something that you bottled in? And I'm speaking because I'm very thankful that I'm ignorant to those feelings.
Yeah. I had to deal or depend on my parents. I had my mother. She was trying to find a way to deal with these things, and so she would find the help of the church. You know what I mean? Maybe finding a group of friends who were involved in church who would bring her along the way. So whatever that looked like, you know what I mean? Going to church and just kind of being there and being in a different environment, one that was definitely family oriented and things like that. So at that age, I didn't really have anyone to.
There's no counseling. There's no nothing like that.
There was no counseling.
Just living life and hoping. Okay.
Yeah. And so maybe she would get counseling from the church.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I wasn't put in front of anyone to. Yeah.
So when do you start turning to a substance of some sort that you sort of grew up not liking?
Yeah.
Because of how it, some of your family acted around you or what you witnessed.
So I think it would have probably been around my late teens.
Okay.
My late teens, man. I went the route of faith and music and trying to live this life of perfect adherence to the Word of God and going to youth group and getting involved to offset the things that were going on at home. My father was, he also had a bout with depression, of course. I think that unchecked pain over any amount of time will change who we are as people and cause us to do things that is outside of ourselves. But I would then go through this. I was a huge part of the music ministry at our church. I'm talented in that way, and I think doing that and then coming home, seeing what I saw at home, maybe trying to change it through the way that I lived my life, just wasn't working. My relationship with my father was strained because I was trying to do everything right by the church and by my faith, by God, by what Jesus said in his word. And, Dad was on this comfortable track. And we didn't have a relationship. And a few things happened. To where it was just like, yo, I'm thinking about giving this whole thing up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some broken relationships or something like that. I had a bunch of I just had a bunch of broken relationships, lovable guy, really great person, you know what I mean? But I don't know, maybe I followed the example of what I saw at home with girlfriends and things like that, and just repeated it. Anyway, I just said, I think this is bogus. Obviously, this isn't working. And probably around 19, 18, when you're club age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, let's try some of this. Get with some of your buddies, and then there starts your drinking career. Or mine.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're in the church, sort of growing up until on 18 or 19, and then you turn away from the church. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, pretty much. I actually probably, to be truthful, I kind of got kicked out. Just in a way. Or if I wouldn't say kicked out, but just decided to give it up. I ended up getting into a side relationship with a girl, you know what I mean? And she was much older. She was just like, she wanted more from the relationship, and I was just like, man, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had fun, and so she said, in her words, she was like, yo, I'm going to do this on behalf of all women. And I'm like, hold on, I'm 19. You're much older than me, and you got the whole female, you got all the females coming against me with this one move that you're going to do. I didn't even lie to you. So she went to the pastor, told him,
wow,
that we were, hanging out, I guess. And, he confronted me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm terrible at lying, so I'm going to tell you the truth. And so it was like I had to pay like a penance almost, or just, hey, look, we're going to take you off stage. We're going to do this. We're going to, this is all part of my growth. You know what I mean? I had to go through this stuff. You know what I mean? It made me the man that I am today. So, it's really not even that tough to talk about, because I'm so far removed from who that young man, that confused young man was. And so instead of sticking to the program and staying the course, I was like, I throw up my hands, I'm done with this stuff, man. It didn't work anyway. You know what I mean? And thus starts the prodigal son journey. Yeah.
What's that look like after church? Do you go to college?
Yeah. So I started college when I was 17.
Okay.
Right here, Gainesville, Santa Fe College. My mother worked there for, God, man, she just retired, so I think she put in 40 plus. And I was on scholarship, and, went there to do my thing and, just go to school. I wasn't doing it for me, though. I was doing it for my mom and dad. I had absolutely no clue what I wanted to do. did about a semester and a half and decided, okay, this doesn't work either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And mom and dad were like, listen, man, you know, because I was living at home the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do this, then you're actually going to have to get a job,
Mm-hmm.
you know, work somewhere. Started my first job when I was like 16. Cash and Carry was up there on 13th Street
I remember
and 23rd.
Yep.
There with Blockbuster and all that stuff.
yeah.
So started out as a cashier. That was my first like real gig. Was at Santa Fe College, did the semester and a half, quit. I think I met some girl, you know, decided to start living with her for a second. I think it was like 2 weeks. And then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, keep in mind I had lots of relationships. But then I was just like, all right, man, I'm going to get a real job,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Was never afraid of work. And so I was like, yo, let's check out UPS. I used to see UPS drivers come through the line at Cash and Carry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hey, you know, how do you like your job? You know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'd like to work there. And they'd always tell me the same thing, man. Listen, you know, they're older drivers and they talk to the younger generation
Right.
different. You know what I mean? Hey, yo, look, you're going to have to work, man, if you want to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be any of this lazy, you know, walking around and hands in your pocket type stuff, man. Like UPS is a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, I'm not afraid of work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I put my application in. Well, actually I didn't. So back then what you had to do, or what was best to do was to, hey man, you know, put on some good clothes, you know what I'm saying? Maybe tuck your shirt in, and show your face, you know? So 18 years old, I walk into the warehouse, shirt tucked in, you know what I mean? And I was like, I want to work here. Like, who do I need to talk to? You know what I mean? Well, the guy you want to talk to, his name is Paul Carlton, and you know, he's wandering around. He's one of the on-road supervisors, and you know, you may have to come back, man. You know, we're getting ready to roll out of here. So I was like, all right. Did the same thing again. Came back. This time I met him. Tall guy, about 6'3", 6'4", former Gator basketball player, actually. Met him, and he's like, yo, all right, man, I see you, you know. You know, he tells me something like, you know, come back again next Wednesday or something. It's almost like it was a test. Came back again. Hey, what's going on, man? You guys got any openings? He looked at me. He's like, you know, I like you, man. Let me take your information down. Give it to the guy who does the hiring. Now, there's only one guy who hires for like the whole district. You know what I mean? His name at the time, well, still is probably, Beetle Bailey.
Oh, nice name.
Beetle. Yeah, man. And so I have no clue what's going on. I just know I need to work somewhere. And yeah, I get a phone call maybe a month later or something like that. And, you know, the rest is history, man.
So when does the substance abuse enter?
Well, it never really stopped once it started. So, you know, it kind of just progressed. So first it was just alcohol. You know what I mean? So 18 years old, I'm now working at UPS.
When you say alcohol, a lot of people drink.
Yeah.
You talking about more than the average person? You
Um,
talking about more in the just at a club?
Yeah. So I mean, we're drinking on the weekends. You know, we're drinking on, you know, maybe, you know, after 12.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? You know, it just once it started for me. So I'm 18. This would be in about April of 1999. You know, once I started drinking, dude, it was just a progressive, scale that would continue. And there was always a reason to have something to drink, But I was very active, you know what I mean? Athlete, played football, high school, man, and trained. Did some personal training with some Olympic athletes, stuff like that. So, it wasn't always there, but it was more of a party thing until, I just got older, man. I'd say maybe 20, 21, 22, when I became legal drinking age, then, here we go, I can almost tell you where I was or how much I was drinking according to what relationship I was in. You know what I mean? And then even as I'm saying this, it's like my relationships had some kind of offsetting correlation to how much I was drinking and or using. Of course, music was a huge part of my life too. So actually, I would say it was when I started getting into bands outside of the church. So I, for one of the first places I played in Gainesville back in those days was a place called, oh my God, the Sidebar.
Okay. Right
downtown, man. And I'd hang out with the band guys, we were like the house band, and there would be some, it'd be some weed or you know what I'm saying, or some other drugs that I didn't really start experimenting with until like maybe my early 20s, so 21, 22 ish. But yeah, man, these were things that I would do. You know what I mean?
But you didn't know at the time it was.
I didn't know it was a problem.
When did you know that? When did it start to, it was a problem, but there wasn't anything you could do about it, or it seemed you couldn't?
Right. I would say I knew it was a problem when I was dating my girlfriend in my like when I was like 21 or 22. She began to be like, hey man, this is, you're going too far with this. You know what I mean? And my response to just like not caring, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a musician, I'm young, I'm arrogant, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was great looking, you know what I'm saying? And I was talented. And so all these things just kind of fed my ego. And, the relationship wasn't all bad. There was just such an emphasis on that one point, you know what I mean, when it comes to drinking and alcohol and things like that, and then where that would take me, you know what I mean, what that would cause me to do, how that would cause me to behave, yeah, so.
When did it start costing you relationships? Or had it already?
Oh, I mean, at the beginning, definitely around around that particular relationship, 21, 22 years old. I started paying dearly for that, just really not even caring about the person that I was with as it concerned alcohol. You don't understand, you've never been here before, type stuff. So yeah.
Interesting. And deep.
Mm-hmm.
You find yourself, did any of it impact your job, impact your ability to go to work, or?
Yeah, man. I mean, later on, you know what I mean? You get when you start talking about getting DUIs and things like that later on in life, well, you got to have a license to drive a truck or anything else, and so that would deeply affect that, for sure.
What gets you to Mr. Gray, the song? What gets you to that point? What gets you to finding your way out of it?
Yeah.
At what point did that happen? Or at what point was life not manageable anymore that you went, I'm done. It's over. I've dealt with too much. I've got too much.
Right. So we would have to basically fast forward to when I now have a family, you know. That would have, yeah. So I now have a family. I have, 5 kids at this point. I have 5 kids, and I've been divorced once already. And I'm remarried. God, man, I had probably blacked out many times at this point. Shown my kids, a dad who is, getting walloped by substance abuse, by alcohol, and 1.5 DUIs.
Alcohol, marijuana, other stuff.
Yeah, man, for sure. Cocaine, ecstasy, other things that I'm not even real sure about. At a certain point, you just want to try everything.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why?
Fear. Fear was the driving force. Fear and wanting to run away to this nirvana, wanting to escape all the woes of everything that I hear, everything that I experience, all these PTSD moments, the thoughts of broken relationships, the thoughts of the things that I've, that they said to me, that just ring in my head all the time. My ex-girlfriends, you know what I mean? Constantly replaying the mistakes. Man, you're not good enough, dude. Oh, that was so stupid. You know what I mean? Why did I do that? Almost like knee-jerk reaction, actual PTSD type things to where I'm like beating myself in the head. You know what I mean? Not bruising myself, but just like, tensing up, being like, you know what I mean? Things that I've said, stupid stuff. I mean, just constantly replaying this reel. And I mean, pick a year, man. Each one had a different reel, pick a month. And so, that's like torture. And I had learned how to listen to that voice, and so I wanted to shut it off. So I would do something to make myself feel invincible, or, make me stay awake and not have to, it was
Self-medicating?
Self-medicating for sure. Degradation, dude. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, but
I had a friend who he said he was sitting with a buddy. He was smoking crack, and they were in a hotel room. And in his story, he had lost he was a newlywed, been married for about a year, and then his wife got stage 4 cancer, love of his life, and passed away. So he turned to drugs. But he said he was on his bed, and he had been deep into his addiction. He was smoking crack, and he said he and his buddy were just sitting there both in tears. And here we are smoking something that's supposed to make us feel better and feel good, but we're absolutely miserable doing it. Did you have experiences where you self-medicated because you were trying to escape something, but it didn't help? It didn't, maybe for a minute, maybe for a moment, and then instantly?
Yeah. Many, many times. Yeah. Sometimes I look at the bottle at the very beginning of it and be like, man, this is the dumbest thing ever. You know what I mean? But I got you here, so let's go ahead and go. You know what I mean?
How many times did you tell yourself you're going to stop? You're going to quit? You're going to do something different?
200,314 times. I mean,
exact number.
You know what I'm saying? It was all the time. Basically, every time I woke up with a hangover, especially when I stopped waking up with hangovers, I was like, yo, I must be getting used to this. And then those nights where I don't remember those nights. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a rapper, man. I think it was Young Jeezy. He's talking about in his song. He said, you know, I remember nights. I don't remember nights. I'm like, wow, that was pretty prolific.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like maybe 8 words. But I mean, so do I, Young Jeezy. I remember nights. I don't remember nights. And then you hear about those nights, right? And it's just like, whoa. I did that, you know. Thank God nobody really had pictures.
Yeah.
That that could have been bad. But yeah, you know, to your question, man, I remember many times just being like, I'm gonna quit. I think it was when my wife Chrissy was just like, listen, man, we got to get some help, or this is not gonna last. I was so used to getting to a certain point with things and just not actually sustaining those really good things. The only thing that I had sustained that I held value, that held value to me, was my career. You know what I mean? It's a respected, you know, career. People like you because you bring them what they want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not bringing you bills. I'm bringing you this thing that you saw that you were like, man, this is awesome. I want this, you know? So for the most part, people smile at you, you know?
You smile back?
All the time.
But when you were dealing with addiction?
When I, even then, because I was able to escape all that stuff through my career. At that point, my identity was directly tied to my career. You know what I mean? Today, I would not say that. You know, I'm not my career. You know what I'm saying? But then I could put on another hat. I could put on another persona, which was still me, but it was just the good me, like all the good me. You know what I mean? And I could deal with the other guy later, you know what I mean, after we punch out.
But you have to be dealing with him internally, even when you're smiling and dropping off packages. You just can't escape it, right?
Exactly. So that's another thing. That's the part of Mr. Gray also, you know. He is I am him. You know what I mean? And he never really goes anywhere. But he was patient enough to sit down and wait until you know, we got done with what we needed to do. You know, so once again, you got Danny, Daniel, D. Rochelle. You know what I mean? Maybe Daniel's in the middle, Danny and Mr. Gray are on the right and left shoulder. But yeah. Always had to deal with him. Always had to deal with that. And once again, man, it wasn't until my wife said, hey, man, you got to do something about this, that we need to go ahead and, you know, you need to go fix this. And so
what'd you do?
I went to check myself into a rehab facility right here.
First time?
Very first time. Right here at Florida Recovery Center, FRC. And if you guys are watching, you guys are awesome. Thank you much. But went there. I knew that I had to pluck myself out of my environment. You know, my environment wasn't necessarily bad. I just had connections to, you know, different things. And if I was going to really fix myself and get right, I had to go. Funny story about that.
Mm-hmm.
It was during the COVID years. So I get ready to go to rehab, and if you have family and things like that, you know what it's like. I mean, you say your goodbyes, and, you know, it's hard enough getting to the point where you have to make that decision. But then you make the decision. You got your bags packed. In this process, you have to go to a, what do they call that? A detox, a detox facility. So I did that. I went to this detox facility, had said my goodbyes. I think my pastor and his wife had come over before, and, you know, hey, man, you're doing the right thing, and, you know, this is going to be great for your family. Get the detox, and, you know, they welcome me in, and I'm sitting there. Me and Chrissy are waiting, and I'm like, hey, man, hey, look, we made it, you know. We're doing this. Thank you for sticking by my side. And tears are streaming down my face, and hey, it's all good. The lady comes out of the office, and she said, it's going to sound strange, but we can't take you. They've had a COVID outbreak at the place, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks. I was like, okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If I say at this point you're an addict, your mind is like, great, this is 2 more weeks that I can.
That's exactly what happened. You know, I could just hear that voice in my head. You know, it's like, party. You know, hey, listen, this is as real and as raw as it gets.
Of course.
I hope it doesn't come back to bite me. But this is what happened. You know, this is what happens in, I think, any addict's mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, look, you know, the voice comes, hey, man, look, you tried. You know what I'm saying? It didn't work. It's all good. You know what I mean? This stuff happens. I mean, that voice is so smooth and so, like, convincing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look, man, you know, sometimes you fail. You know what I mean? But, hey, we got 2 weeks. Let's go holler at so-and-so. Let's get what we need. And let's just relax, man. We're not bothering anybody. Come on, man. These people are being, you know, these people are being selfish, man. They don't know what we go through. You know? Even like, channeling that thought process is kind of scary. But it's real. So anyway, yeah, man, they sent me home. Bag still packed. And that's what I did. You know, I partied for 2 more weeks. But I also knew that I was gonna pick the phone back up and be like, yo, can I come back? You know, I think in anybody's journey, you're going to need that adversity and that, you know, that moment where you draw the line in the sand and say, yo, got to do it.
You know, even though that voice is very powerful in your head, at the same time, though, you're willing to go work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you end up going back after a few weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. After those 2.5 weeks, 14 days, 15, 16 days.
You're saying goodbye as if you're not going to have contact with your family.
Right.
Is that true?
I'm saying goodbye as if I don't know what the hell I'm going to do.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? My wife, Chrissy, she 100% said, you're my man. Period. When you come back, I'm going to love you the same as if you had never gone. You know what I'm saying? So I had that assurance.
Yeah, that's great.
You know what I'm saying? And once again, dude, she is the hero in this whole story. But I was saying goodbye to my other friends too, in my head. Like, bro, you're not going to control the wheel anymore. You know? I mean, and that was hard. That was hard because, that voice is saying, hey, man, didn't I take you away from this pain? Didn't we have a good time? Didn't we laugh? Didn't we do this? It's just like, yeah, bro, but you are driving way outside the lines.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get us killed. You know what I mean? I was literally going to lose everything and die if I did not go to rehab. So that would sum up like that whole thing. I was going to die.
What does rehab look like? What's for those who listen who don't know what rehab is, what does that look like for you? Is it you there for a week? You there for?
Yeah, rehab at first intake. Well, let's say this. Rehab looks like a commitment that you're gonna have, an in-house rehab facility. You know what I mean? You're going to be there for like at least 45 days. You know what I mean?
Can you go to McDonald's?
You can't go anywhere. You are on rehab island.
You got your cell phone in your back pocket?
Nah. You have nothing. You have no control. You have no outside contact besides, a phone. It's almost like, I wouldn't say it's like incarceration, but it kind of is. You're just not locked in the cell. You know what I mean?
It's voluntary.
It's voluntary. Look, and you gotta want it, man. You have to want it. None of this stuff works if you're just gonna go in there and, none of this stuff works if you're not willing to go.
What did you want? What did you see that the voices weren't giving you that was on the other side?
Peace of mind. I wanted peace of mind. I wanted the truth. I wanted that young man who felt worthy, deserving, who felt good enough, who was confident, who saw someone in the mirror, saw himself in the mirror and could honestly say, dude, I love you, man. You're a really good person. You're going to do amazing things in this life. You're going to help a lot of people. I wasn't saying that before. I wanted that. I wanted something real. And so going into rehab, man, was one of the scariest things I ever done. And I had been to jail, When you get to jail, though, you're like still in your... You're still in your whatever frame of mind, man, I was doing fine. You didn't have to, shoot. You're still kind of drunk when you get in there. And then you have to hear all the stories of all these other crazy people who it's like Otis from Andy Griffin's show.
Oh, yeah.
Like he just lets himself in. Yeah, Otis, close the door behind you. It's just like, man, okay. Yeah, dude, rehab. I finally got in there, people smiling at you. They take you in and, welcome you and all this stuff and, show you to your room. I had a roommate. Honestly, for the first time in my life, I didn't have anyone doing anything for me. I had to wash my own clothes. This shows you how spoiled our lives can be,
yeah.
right? People are going to be like, man, what kind of life were you living? You stupid. Yeah, I had to wash my own clothes. I had to cook my own food. I had to go grocery shopping, and, you went grocery shopping in a bus with a bunch of people. You know what I mean? And you got your stuff. Had a, $150 limit or something like that every Wednesday or something. And so had to plan my meals out, had to really learn how to live on my own in the rehab facility. But you had a lot of people around you, who were going through the same stuff that you were, or worse, right? Mm-hmm. You think you got it bad until you get in there with you know, other people. And then you find out, all right, I got a lot to learn from this. You know what I mean? So rehab just looked, man, it was the best thing I had ever done. I'll tell you that once I got there, though, once I was in there and I didn't have a drink for a few days, and whatever medication they gave me to, you know, ease the cravings had worn off. My homeboys came back. It's like, what the hell did you do, man? Like, that was so dumb. That was the dumbest thing. Now look, you got to sit here and grind this thing out, you know? And it was crazy because where the place is located, and I think this is a strategy. Where it's located, there's a convenience store.
They're talking in your head.
Well, there's a convenience store like, I don't know, 200 yards across the street from the facility. So I'm like, yo, man, we could run over there and get a beer. You know what I'm saying? And just, you know, and I think that was probably one of the most, you know, gut wrenching and real moments for me to be like, dude, are you gonna do something in truth and stay real to yourself and your family? Like, you gotta come with your A game, bro. Like, forget all this crap, man. You're gonna keep going around in a circle, or are you gonna be, you know, are you going to be truthful about something in your damn life, dude? Like, come on, you know? And so I did not elect to go to the store. And plus, if they found out, I would have been kicked out and just, you know. Done deal, man. I stayed with it.
45 days in there?
45 days. I would say between 42 and 45. And
what do you do every single day?
You go to classes. You go to an AA meeting.
These classes are doing what for you?
These classes are...
You're not talking science and math classes?
No. These are group setting classes to where you listen to people's progress, and then you give feedback or you either get feedback. You learn about yourself. You learn that you're not the only one that's going through this stuff. And you really learn how deep you are in your own head and your own victimization. So I found out that I was really good at deflecting things and not being straightforward about what was true, making excuses for myself, trying to blame others for what I ultimately decided to do on my own. What's the word? It's not regret, but I'm drawing a blank right now. Justifying. Yeah. You justify everything. You know what I mean? That's what I found out I did a lot of. And so then you'd go see your counselor one-on-one. You know, you talk about things. And I mean, you just go to class after class after class. It's basically like almost like life management skills. But you know, you'd have lunchtime. You know, they had a smoking section in the back of whatever, you know. And then you learn. You just listen to people. You listen to people's stories. I think one of the craziest stories, I don't know why this one sticks in my head. I'm not going to shout anybody out or anything like that, but it's just before class starts, you know. What you realize is that no matter how old the person is, 18's being the youngest, but we had guys in there who were like maybe 70. You know what I mean? So from 18 to 70, everybody comes back to the same age. And it's like you're in there with a bunch of guys who are in detention and, you know, the smartest guys in the class, but yet, you know, the most, just the craziest. You know what I mean? I think the average IQ in there, man, was like, it was through the roof.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, sure.
People usually think, okay, you're an addict, you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you got a brown bag, and you're under a bridge.
Yeah.
That's not the case here?
No, not at all. Not at all, man. I think sometimes we have to medicate because our minds are so active and we are so smart. We think that we're the smartest guys in the room, you know. A lot of times it is like that. You know what I mean? We can, you know, as for myself, I'll speak for myself. I can see things from so many different angles. And you can't bullshit a bullshitter. You know what I'm saying? So we are looking for the cracks. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and if you come with it, we're gonna break you down.
Did you find the counselors or staff were potentially former addicts themselves who have been recovered?
Yeah.
I mean, because the thought process here is it's like an NBA basketball player, and you got a commentator who has never played basketball trying to tell an NBA basketball player what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And how to fix it.
Yeah. In fact, we had someone who came in to the facility who was, you could tell, she was just a book doctor. You know what I'm saying? She was training. She had never dealt with any kind of substance abuse, any of this stuff. You know what I mean? And she was telling us what needed, you know, how to solve an issue or whatever, just based off of a book. And the guys in there were not really receptive to what she was saying. I mean, in fact, I think I had learned how to be really, really, I wouldn't say blunt, but direct. And I asked her, I said, hey, are you an addict? Have you ever done any stuff? I was like, good luck getting the respect of these people. Because if you're the general and you don't have any battle scars, I don't know who's gonna follow you. You know what I'm saying? Show me the scars, bro. Otherwise, you know, you're just a bookworm. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Understand.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's just like these, you know, and I love ESPN, but there's like the talking heads on ESPN.
So 45 days in rehab, and you're cured when you leave.
45 days in rehab, and I think that I'm cured. I'm not real sure.
Okay.
You know, because when you're in the facility, you're protected. You know, you have the resources. You have everybody around you. You have, you know, 100 yards this way is my counselor's office. I can go over here. You know, 40 feet that way is my roommate's room, and I can talk to him. You know, we were like we said, it was like we were on an island, and you know, when you leave the facility, man, whether you decided to take everything that they were teaching seriously or not will be determined day one, you know. So I felt like I was cured, but I didn't want to assume. I was afraid to be confident because I didn't want to lend too much to my arrogance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't got it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I remember asking one of my counselors, I was like, I'm afraid to be excited. Is that normal? You know what I mean? Because after a certain amount of time, you start to grasp the weight of what you've done and how you've done things and your coping mechanisms and your, just the way that you operate, or you've learned to operate over time to appease your addiction. So, yeah, man, I was afraid. I had to learn how to do everything all over again coming out. So I don't know, I guess I'd just spend more time with my family. I would spend a lot more time journaling, and writing down positive affirmations and gratitude lists and epiphanies, and focus my energy toward a goal, yeah.
Forgiveness.
Big word.
Why is that big?
If you can't forgive yourself, then nobody else is going to be able to do it. And I had to be able to do that. But first I had to unpack all the things, So, I had to learn how to forgive the little boy. I had to learn how to forgive, which was really tough, dude. I had to learn how to forgive my father. I had to learn how to forgive all those things that connected to him, why he became the way that he was. Yeah, I had to forgive myself because I had become my number one enemy, according to my actions, right? I was slowly committing suicide. And, instead of being the victim, I had to go outside of myself and those circumstances and blaming, things that happened in football or people who laughed at me or, all those things. And I had to make amends with people, and they would either forgive me or they wouldn't, you know what I mean? But at that point, that's not your business, right? What they do. I had to go out and humble myself and ask for these things. There are people to this day, Ben, that I will probably never be able to have a relationship with because of the things that I've done in my past, which really sucks, man. But if they ever see this show, I would specifically want to just tell them that, I'm sorry, for the things that I've done in my past. I wasn't well. That is not an excuse. I accept all my flaws, my faults. And I would just ask those people to at least be willing to forgive me for my past transgressions. Girls, guys, so that's, and I'm comfortable with that. You know what I mean?
Daniel, your story is an empowering one. You're talking about experiences of trauma and things that happened to you before the age of 10.
Right.
You're talking about carrying that weight with you and trying to navigate this crazy world as you get into your 20s. And then you talk about addiction and the drugs that grow from just some alcohol and marijuana to lots of alcohol to other drugs. And then you having a family and willingness to go to rehab to try to fix those things and work on yourself. Yeah. So the story here to me is total empowering for somebody out there who's dealing with addiction, who can relate. I think from what I've heard, it sounds like people can relate to your story. I know that I can in terms of maybe some of the thoughts that are in your head and how you think about things. But what I've kind of realized in my life is that everybody is not perfect. Not one is perfect.
Right.
And we all deal with struggles and things in our lives. And I hope that when people listen to this, they hear an empowering story. I am curious, though. You leave rehab. Do you have a moment of, I don't know the words of spiritual awakening, but just freedom to where you go, I did it. And I realize it's always a battle. Right. But that I'm good. And those voices are way, way back there. They may be not gone, but they're so far in the back, they don't have a.
Yeah, Ben, that's a great question, man. A moment. Oh my God. I think this is so organic, bro. I think it would be the first time that I would be able to go to a restaurant or to a gathering, more so a restaurant, because I would purposely stay away from gatherings that had alcohol in it at it, and not be tempted to sit at the bar or something like that. You know what I mean? To where I wasn't preoccupied with the thought of, man, let's go get a drink. You know what I'm saying? That moment happened when I could just be present and be comfortable where I was with my wife, with whatever I was doing. Great question, dude. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and at where you are now, you've talked about these different characters that are real, but there's a new character here, right? Where you are today.
Yeah.
And when you look backwards, you're so far removed from some of those. Do you find, and I can appreciate that you can talk about them sort of freely.
Yeah, for sure.
Where am I going here? How real is it for you how do you feel about not ever going back there, that you've dealt with it, you've handled it, and you've moved on?
Right. I have to be humble, man. I had to start over this morning. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever want to be so arrogant that I can say I'm completely healed. I know that I could slip and fall at any moment if I take this journey for granted at any point. I'm grateful for all those things that I came through. I'm grateful that the mistakes were made and I was able to alchemize that and turn it into this. You know what I mean? But I needed it. You know what I'm saying? I think the moment that I take any of this or anything that happened to me for granted or get too comfortable, thinking that I got it, you know what I mean? That's when I begin to lose, and I hope that I answered that question
you
the
did.
right way. Okay.
You did.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. In the first off, anybody, I'm going to post in the description the link to the song. Check it out. The artwork, as powerful as the lyrics are, the artwork that's done, the video, shows so much emotion,
right?
And I think offers a glimpse of sort of the way you felt.
Oh yeah,
feel, and the lyrics say something. Say somebody save me.
Yeah, and I have to shout out Paulo Freitas Jr. Paulo, he's a storyboard creator. Excellent comic book creator. He's the one who did all the artwork in that video. Hand drawn, man. Just ridiculous amount of vision and professionalism. Extremely humble. Like, I mean, this dude is like super humble and super talented. He's so humble he doesn't want credit. Like, so for me, I want to put him on a
Yeah,
billboard.
of course.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he really made this thing come together. So Paulo Freitas, thank you so much, man. Love you, bro. Give me a call. I think I texted you last night. Hit me up, man. So,
Is there, if somebody's watching
Yeah.
this, what's the overall message you would have if they're in a moment of weakness, maybe, or
Yeah.
they're consumed? What? Because this is why you're sharing it, right?
Yeah,
You're getting
exactly.
your story out to help other people.
Yeah. My message would be, man, that there is so much strength in us. We are so wonderfully complicated. I mean, down to a quantum level. You know what I mean? And if we could just somehow come to a place to where we're just like, man, I'm at least willing to try. You know what I mean? We can turn our lives around. We can do something extraordinary. And we're so unique as individuals, man, that there's not another one of us exactly like us. We have to be able to see that. We have to be able to see our beauty, our power, man, our strength. There's only one person who can live and do the mission that we were assigned to do. Only one person. And the moment we compare that to anybody else is the moment that you try to, is the minute that you diminish the sovereignty and the beauty that you have. There's a way out. There's a way you can do this. Like, I am doing it. It doesn't stop, And if my life, my music video, my journey is anything, dude, it's a testimony to what can be done. I mean, my sitting here with you in this room, I mean, Ben, you are a hero, bro. You know what I mean? You've had to overcome some things. Any man who's lived this life has had to come over, overcome some things. You know what I mean? And the difference is, we just decided to take up the mantle. You know what I mean? You have to make the choice. You got to make the choice. And that's what we did, man. And that would be my message to people. Stop going around the circle, man. You know what's coming around that bend. You know what I mean? There's a better life. There's so much more to learn. What do you tell a guy who knows everything? Nothing. And if you know everything and you can't learn anymore, your life is pretty much done.
You'd be stuck going in the same circle.
That's it.
Daniel Rochelle is an artist. He's a father. He's a husband, and he's an inspiring individual who's got an awesome song that he's put out that shares his story. And check it out in our link. Daniel Rochelle, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Ben. Peace.
You.